What's going on YouTube? So Audi released an all-new version of the S4 just 1 year ago. Yet despite that, they are already making significant changes for the 2019 model year. We have a new base trim level, new equipment, and even updated styling, all designed to keep it up to pace with the all-new rivals like the BMW M340i. Of course, we do want to give a special thanks and shout out to our friends at Audi of Lexington for giving us access to this S4 Black Optic. And if you're in the market for any new Audi, be sure to stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with that all said, let's see how the S4 stacks up against the excellent competition. So getting started with the exterior, like I said, things are surprisingly different from the 2018 version. For starters, it receives the same lower fascia revisions that the A4 got this year, which means there is a larger mesh area and a new square surround that goes around the safety sensors. You're also probably noticing that everything is blacked out up front, and that's because this year we now have the Black Optic package. If you go for the black exterior like our model, it makes for a really stealthy look, or you can get a high contrast look with the lighter colors. Otherwise, everything would be finished in a matte silver. As far as the headlights, they are fully LED across the lineup with auto leveling abilities. Now heading around back, it has not been changed back here, except for the fact that the Black Optic package blacks out the lower diffuser. And inside of that, you have quad exhausts that pump out an excellent sound. Otherwise, we do have a lip spoiler and Audi's signature full LED taillights with dynamic turn signals. So all in all, the S4 has a seriously attractive design that looks both aggressive and also stealthy, especially with this black on black combination. Now as far as the wheels, there are 3 different options to choose from. Every trim starts with the 18-inch Star Design alloys, but 19-inch V-spoke alloys are optional for $800, or these really cool 19-inch gray alloys come with the Black Optic package. Additionally, our S-Sport package throws in the red brake calipers. Heading up to the mirrors, they have all the goodies like heating, auto dimming, and power folding. And here on the Black Optic model, the silver topper has been eliminated. As far as your safety features are concerned, they are available in a couple tiers. All S4s have automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, and then the Premium Plus adds in blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert. Finally, choosing the Prestige throws in the driver assistance equipment, like lane keeping assist, auto high beam headlights, and adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assist. And finally, ending at the fuel tank. The 15.3 gallon capacity is good for a range of 367 miles on premium fuel. So now that we've seen the exterior upgrades, let's go ahead and check out the inside. So of course, most versions of the S4 do come standard with Audi's intelligent entry system. However, for 2019, like we've been discussing, the new premium trim, on that model you will actually have to option it back on via the convenience package. Now as far as getting inside the vehicle itself, all you gotta do is grab the handle and it will unlock. And you do have the signature upward turning door handles. Alright, so checking out the cabin of the 2019 Audi S4. You won't really notice any changes to design versus last year. However, this specific model is equipped a little bit differently than what is the most common versions of the S4, so I'll point those details out in just a second. Now, as far as your interior material and color selections, you've got 3 different colors to choose from: black, rotor gray, or a unique magma color, which is really cool. And then you also have a few different leather selections. Now, all models do come standard with real leather. However, you have the ability to get an optional full Napa leather with the quilted design in the middle. However, like I was just mentioning, what's unique about this model is we actually have the warm weather package, and that does change out a few different pieces in this cabin. And one of those is that you kind of go back to the A4 seats. So if you want the seat ventilation, then you have Milano leather instead with the simpler looking design. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is of course very nicely finished. You have a leatherette material across the armrest, as well as a nice color contrast stitching. Obviously all the other portions are soft touch. And then we have the standard brushed aluminum trim on this specific model. All models do come standard with 2-person memory seating. And of course, all 4 of your windows are one-touch automatic. Turning over here to your seat, it is 12-way power adjusting across the board with 4-way lumbar support. You also have manual thigh extension. Like I was saying, this is Milano leather, so no matter what you choose, you will get real leather. You just either have the leather with the Alcantara inserts in the middle, Milano leather, or the stitched Napa leather. So as far as the main parts of the design of the cabin, nothing has changed. So you will continue to find the same materials for 2019. That does include a soft touch dashboard. And then in the middle, you have more of this really nice looking brushed aluminum. It does continue from the door trims and all the way across the dash. You got more of it down here. And additionally, you will find a leatherette material on the console here with more of the color contrast stitching. And then of course, as expected, every S4 does come standard with push button start. When it boots up, you will see a 8.3-inch display fire up. On the Premium Plus and up, that is newly standard to the Premium Plus for 2019. But if you go for that new base Premium trim, you're going to have a 7-inch display instead. Now, in a similar way to what I was just talking about with the main display, Audi's virtual cockpit system is now standard on the Premium Plus and up, which is new for 2019. And this is the special S gauges, of course, since this is an S model, so you have this large center-mounted tachometer, and then 2 different sections that you can customize, or you can go into the more traditional view, which minimizes that and emphasizes all the multimedia stuff. So of course this is still one of the nicest setups since it has so much customizability. You would also find a head-up display on the Prestige level and up, but this is the Premium Plus, of course. Now coming back to the steering wheel, it is electric power assisted, and all models will have a leather-wrapped wheel. Now standard on the S4 is a flat bottom steering wheel, but you'll notice we have the circular one, and that's because we have the optional heated steering wheel, which for some reason turns it into a circle. But as far as the actual, buttons and stuff, that's all the same. So this is your virtual cockpit buttons. And then on this side, you've got your buttons for your phone, audio, and voice commands, as well as the heated steering wheel. Up top, you will find standard rain sensing wipers on all models. The steering wheel itself is manually tilt and telescoping unless you go for the Prestige model. And then you will also find traditional cruise control, or if you have the driver's assistance package, you'll find the adaptive cruise control. Now moving on to interior storage. Of course, that's not really the reason you buy an S4, but you do still have plenty of it. So coming over here to your center console, it is basically the same as what you get in an Audi A4. So you have a decent amount right here, but you will also notice for 2019 that we now have a wireless phone charger. So that's a nice touch. It does come on the Premium Plus and up. You've got a little place here for your key fob, 2 illuminated cup holders, and then another decent sized storage bin up here with a USB and a 12-volt outlet. Audi has been able to conserve some space by going for an electronic shifter. This is the same as we see in many of their new models. So you just pull back for drive. You can bump over here to the right to shift manually, or you can do it via the paddle shifters. And then you can go all the way up for reverse. When you do, you will find a standard backup camera pop up on all models. As you can see, it just takes up part of the display, and the other part is dedicated to the parking sensors. That is, unless you go for the Prestige, and then in that case, you'll get the 360-degree camera system. And then back behind the shifter, you've got your electronic parking brake. Now, one relatively small shakeup of standard equipment is that the upgraded Bang & Olufsen sound system, the 3D version with 19 speakers and 755 watts, has been moved to only the Prestige as standard equipment, and then it's optional now on the Premium Plus. We actually have the optional system, so let's go ahead and take a listen. Of course, as you would expect, the sound quality is excellent. Now we'll go ahead and move on from there. The next step up is this row of buttons. The main stuff here is your drive select controller. So we'll go back to the home screen here and you'll be able to see the drive modes. We have a comfort, automatic, dynamic is the sport one, and then you got an individual one to go in and tailor each of these sections to whatever you desire, which is of course a very nice thing. Next to that, you have your defeat for your auto start stop, your defeat for your traction control, turn on and off your parking sensors, and turn on and off the display. And then moving on up, we have basically the same climate control setup as you find in the A4 and several other Audi models. So this is your standard 3-zone automatic climate control. So you've got all your buttons represented physically here, 2 big knobs to adjust the temperature, and then you have the little touch sensitive toggles that kind of give you a preview, and then they are metal when you push them. As far as the seats, 3-stage heating is standard equipment, but like I already mentioned, you have to go for the warm weather package to get seat ventilation, which does actually change the entire seat design. But anyways, that brings us up here to the Audi MMI system, so let's go ahead and take a quick look. Your traditional MMI system. It's not quite the newest version, not the touch one, so you still have to use this knob and touchpad down here. It's not a touch screen. Heading into phone, you'll find all of your contacts. You also have text message support, and you can go into your directory here. Of course, we do have the Google Earth navigation, and it does give you the ability to write the address out with handwriting. Then you can click over, go to your map. Of course, so you can have this pulled up at the same time as you have it pulled up on your virtual cockpit. Now, last thing I'm going to talk about is just your Audi smartphone interface. This is where you can connect both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and they are standard even if you have the smaller 7-inch display with the base model. But anyways, that pretty much sums up a quick look at the MMI system. But we do have a really detailed tutorial if you want to learn more. A link to that additional video is in the description. Moving on up, you do have an auto-dimming frameless mirror with the built-in compass. And then you've got your HomeLink universal remotes mounted right here. You're probably also noticing that we have a standard moonroof. It is across the entire S4 lineup. Can't remember if Audi calls this panoramic or not. It's a little bit larger than normal, I would say, but obviously it doesn't go all the way back. But anyways, overall the cabin is a phenomenal place to spend time. You know, just like in the A4, there's not a whole lot of difference here for the S4 model, but there doesn't need to be. It's just a lovely cabin with a lot of technology and a lot of luxury. But anyways, now I'll go ahead and hand it off to my brother Mason, who will check out the back seats and the trunk. Alrighty, so checking out the S4's rear seat, you are going to find a good amount of space for all of your family members. So you'll find 36 inches of rear legroom and 37 inches of rear headroom. That does place it on par with a lot of the rivals, and like I said, that is plenty of room for all of you who are concerned about that. Now turning over here to the door trim, you do have a really nicely appointed one. So you do have leather wrapping across all of the bottom area, and it does have a stitching detail going all the way through here, as well as a nice aluminum trim with a nice aluminum door handle as well. Now up here you will notice that we do have manual side window sunshades, which are included in the warm weather package. Now turning over here to the seat itself, it is a beautiful design. It does have nice stitching details, and it is very comfortable. Now here in the center area, every S4 will come very nicely equipped. So you do have standard rear vents across all models, as well as your own climate controls back here. Now off to the side, you will notice that this particular model does have 3-stage heated rear seats, which are included in the cold weather package. And down below that, you will find 2 smart charging USB ports for 2019, as well as a 12-volt power outlet. Now here in the center, you do have a fold-down armrest with some storage inside, and your cup holders do pop out at the end. Up top you have LED lighting, a really nice headliner, as well as your assist grip and coat hook. And coming down, like I said, this is about middle of the pack when it comes to space, and that shows behind your seating position. I have about 6 to 7 inches of rear legroom, especially thanks to these nice knee cutouts. Now the seats on the S4 do fold 40-20-40 split, so you can fold them up here just by grabbing this little lever, and it will fold right down. And coming around to the trunk, all you have to do is locate the button under the lid, and it will open right up. And once inside, you will find 13 cubic feet of space in the S4, which is class competitive with the Mercedes C43 and BMW M340i. Now, like I said, it is finished very nicely back here, so you do have a nice carpeted floorboard. And if you lift up, you will find a spare tire. And off to your sides, you do have some netting, as well as a 12-volt power outlet on this side. And like I said, the seats do fold 40-20-40 split if you need more space. Now coming to the passenger seat, it is 12-way power adjusting across all models. And in front of the passenger, you do have nice amenities,
You have a really good sized dampened glove box, which is felt lined, as well as your CD and DVD player. And up top you have a sun visor with an LED light and mirror, and it does also detach and extend. But anyway, that sums up all of the rear areas of the S4. So now let's go ahead and get out on the road and see why you buy an S4 in the first place.
Alright, so getting into the part that really matters, of course the powertrain and what's under the hood. So this model, of course, does come with a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 engine. Power has been adjusted slightly this year. It's down 5 horsepower. That's just like a little rating change to 349 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. But as far as your overall 0 to 60, that does not change. It continues to be rated at 4.4 seconds. And that's going to be ever so slightly slower than the brand new M340i, which we drove about a month ago. Now, as far as your transmission, there's only one way to get it. You actually have an 8-speed automatic transmission versus the 7-speed dual-clutch automatic that comes in the A4. And then you've always got standard quattro all-wheel drive. And then as far as your fuel economy, since there's only one way to get this model, there is only one rating. And that's going to be 21 city, 30 highway, 24 combined. But anyways, that's enough of the numbers. Let's see how it actually performs out in the street. So just tapping into the throttle there for the first time. And when you push into it a little bit, it does get going fast. You can definitely tell there's a lot of power on tap.
Yeah. And a lot of torque. It really pushes you back in your seat.
Now, since we're just kind of rolling at suburban speeds here, it's a good time to talk about the comfort. Definitely very comfortable, very easy to drive. If you can drive it slowly, it's not one of those cars that has so much power that you can't hardly control it. This is a car that, like everything in this class, kind of has a dual personality. Really puts the power down. I mean, you expect no less with quattro, but it's still honestly, like, it's surprising.
And I want to commend this car. When he turned, I mean, we're, like he said, we're in normal mode, and he just pushed the gas down harder, and I mean, no hesitation, just dropped a gear and got us up to speed super fast. And the quattro, like you said, it really plays a great job. I mean, you could tell it was so planted, and there was not even a slightest hesitation getting us up to speed.
Yeah, if your guest didn't realize that you had the S4 instead of the A4, they will realize it.
Yeah. In short
once
order.
you start moving. Also, we'll say that the 8-speed automatic versus the dual clutch, we'll test it out a little more as we keep going here, but it seems to shift just as fast, definitely extremely quickly, but it's also a little bit smoother than the A4, I'm noticing, as far as just kind of cruising around town. Not that that had any type of real issue to it, but you could tell just a little bit, at least if you're attuned to it like we are, that it is a dual clutch. There's a small hesitation between shifts at low speed versus this. The one thing I'll do is we'll go into a different drive mode here. We'll go try out the dynamic, which will escalate things up a little bit. There's a little construction, looks like something's going on up here. But you can, even at the just taking off lightly, you can definitely tell we dial up the exhaust and everything. Very enjoyable car to drive. Now when we drove the M340i, we were kind of stuck in the city, but here we can come out on more of an open road, and it definitely allows us to enjoy this more. You can instantly tell how quick it is. It responds to just the tiniest change of direction with the steering wheel, of course, as you would want for a sports sedan. At least initially here, it does feel like it's a little bit lighter than what I remember the C43 and the M340i being like. But it does tighten up nicely here in the dynamic mode from the other modes. It is one of the parts that is adjustable, since most of the parts are you are able to adjust using the individual mode inside of the MMI system. So I'll bump it into the manual mode. We can try out the manual shifting for a little bit. Wow. It definitely shifts. It has a really pronounced kick. You know, that's I really like that. Gives you a real satisfying sensation.
And going over that hill, I hear some burbles too.
That's right. Steering definitely feels great, and this thing also has just outrageous grip.
Yeah,
I was just, absolutely just planted onto the road. But we do have the S Sport package, so we have summer performance tires on this specific one. But it's definitely amazing.
And this is what we mean by dual character. You can take your whole family on a nice road trip and cruise down the interstate in comfort. But if you're, coming home from work on a Friday night and want to enjoy yourself and take a country road back home, this is, you can canyon carve in this car, which is a really, really neat thing.
You'll definitely have to watch your speed, because you'll be speeding quite quickly if you just let into it for more than just a few seconds at a time. But what a fun car to drive. Yeah, this steering setup is lightning fast. I do stand by what I said earlier. It is a little bit lighter in terms of your feel versus the C43 and the M340i, but certainly not like super light or anything like that. It still has a good heft to it. It feels very nice in the hand. Like I said, it's extremely fast, extremely accurate. And then paired with these summer performance tires, it just feels like you could go like, I don't even know, just you could go crazy with it. A lot crazier than I'm willing to do in a car that's not mine. But all in all, I'm really impressed by the S4. Like I mentioned at the beginning, all the cars in this class, they really stand out for me as being some of the best, like, all-around vehicles that you can buy. Just because of the fact that they can both do family duty and they can be sedate. They can drive your granny to the airport or something like that without making her get road sick or breaking her back. But then you can unleash it and have a lot of fun on a back road. And the S4, it does all of those things, and it does them extremely well. And honestly, there's really nothing that I can come up with to complain about, except for the fact that I don't own one. And I wish I did. Alrighty, and let's talk a little bit about the pricing for the 2019 Audi S4. So this is actually an area where you've seen a little bit of changes for this model year. So they've introduced a new premium trim, as we've talked about throughout the review, and that was to decrease the starting price, which is $700 less than last year's base model, and that is now $50,200. Now, last year's base model was the Premium Plus trim level, and now that model is going to come in at $54,500, which is actually a $3,600 price increase over last year. So you're kind of getting a little bit of a decrease on the premium end, but if you wanted to go for the Premium Plus, you're getting quite a bit of an increase this year. And then for the Prestige trim, the fully loaded model, that's $57,800. But that still undercuts a lot of the German competition as far as the base price. Now, as far as how this particular model is equipped, we do have the Premium Plus model with quite a few options checked off. So we have the optional Mythos Black paint for $595, the S Sport package for $2,500, the Black Optic package for $1,400, the optional Bang & Olufsen sound system for $950, cold weather package for $750, the warm weather package for $700, and Audi beam rings for $250. And then finally, when you add in the $995 destination charge, this particular model as equipped comes in at $62,640.
which I will point out is still quite a bit cheaper than a lot of the German competition. Like Drew said, we drove the C43, and that was upper 60s, as well as the M340i.
This can have some more.
It can,
but
it
close, but it's
normally
be
is
a little bit less
cheaper.
expensive.
So even though you have seen that price increase on the Premium Plus trim level, it still is going to come a little bit lower than a lot of the competition.
Well guys, we've enjoyed watching this in-depth look at the 2019 Audi S4 Premium Plus. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.